Welcome to the Divine Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Christina Aroche, and together we are walking the path of discovering your true self and the alignment with your soul. Through these conversations, you will experience a deeper level of connection with yourself and the universe, and most importantly, you will trust in your spiritual journey ahead. Let's begin. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Divine Connection Podcast. My name is Christina Aroche, and I'm so excited to dive in to today's conversation, which is answering a question that was submitted. And so the question is, hi, Christina, I would like to ask, what do the Archangels say about the Earth's transition to 5D? And what advice do they have for us? I love this question. So good, and it's so relevant to our experience right now. And the first thing that I'll say is that when I was tuning in regarding this question and the answers that the Archangels wanted to bring forward, I really feel Archangel Raziel coming through. So a lot of this is coming through him, from him, as well as just the energy of the divine as a collective, as a whole. And the first thing that I want to just kind of lay the foundation with you is just to quickly define what I mean and how I see the difference between 3D and 5D. So 3D and living in 3D is really about the physical senses. So everything that I see, feel, hear, smell, whatever, our five senses, that is the reality, right? So it's really basing our experience and our perception based on what we physically see. What I physically see with my eyes, that is what it is, and that's it. Okay. When we move into 5D, this is where our awareness expands beyond the physical senses. And this is really focused on our awareness and connection to spirit, to the non-physical, to the higher consciousness, to the presence of the divine. And so it is connected to us not only living through our physical senses, but now living through our intuitive senses, right? The intuition that we use to know things, to see things with our mind's eye, to hear guidance from the divine. So this is going beyond the physical now. And now we're living in an experience of being really very fully aware and connected with the spiritual world, essentially, is how I see it. And so the first thing that I'll say, and this is the very first thing that came through from the Archangels, and specifically Archangel Raziel, is this knowing that we are all here at this time. Every single one of us that is here living right now is here to usher in this new world for future generations. So that's a huge part of the greater divine plan and the collective energy, is that we are here to transform how the world operates. We are here to transform how we perceive things, how we do things, what we know to be out there. And it's so funny, as I'm saying this right now, I'm sitting in front of a window, and literally right in front of my window, this bird just landed, which is very rare for it to be this close and right up in my face. But it just feels like a very divine sign as I'm talking about this, that this bird just landed here, which is really cool. So I just wanted to say that. So that's the first thing, that we are here to usher in this new world for future generations. And what's happening, the way that this is unfolding, is that it first has to start on an individual level. So as an individual, we have to focus on how we perceive things, how we are living in 5D within our experience, aka using our intuition, connecting with spirit, feeling in tune and in alignment with that spiritual energy that surrounds us. So that's the very first thing, is that we have to experience that on an individual level for it to then span out and kind of create that ripple effect on a collective level. Now, the thing that I'll say, and this is part of what we hear about in terms of the domino effect or the ripple effect, is that the more that we as individuals access this connection, right? The more that we as an individual on our journey access this connection to spirit, connection to who we truly are, that we align and live from the energy of divine love and our expressions of that light and of that divine love, what happens is that energetically it's already creating this I almost see it like emanating out into the rest of the collective, right? Into the universe, into the energy that surrounds us. And then what happens is that it changes the frequency around all of us, which then allows for more people to experience that same awakening in their own way. And this is how we create the ripple effect. So essentially what it means is that as you go through your own individual awakening and connection to your intuition and learning, experiencing the truth of who you are, it's not necessarily about, okay, now I have to go tell as many people as I can so that they can go through that. And then not that way I'm creating that change and I'm creating this ripple effect. It's actually much more subtle than that. It's understanding that when we are living within our own self in a higher frequency, that is influencing the overall collective energy. And then as we one by one start to influence the collective energy in this way, the people who aren't necessarily yet awakened to that or aren't necessarily following that path, they are more likely to begin the awakening process because now that energy is surrounding them more and more and more and more and more. The analogy that comes to mind is if you think about this big space, right? Like just think like of this big, big, big dark room, okay? And it's dark. But then one person lights a match or a candle or whatever, right? Like they have a light that's turned on, that it's like the light that they're holding. And so if you're on the other side of the room, you can very in the distance see like this little light flicker, right? And then someone else who's maybe closer to that person, their light starts to flicker and they turn on their candle or their flashlight or whatever you want to think of it. And then the other person, another person, another person. And so the more that these people now are one by one turning on their light, the one who's on the other side of the room was very far away. Now that light is much closer. Now they can see more clearly. Now they can see more things. And that seeing other people with their light encourages them to turn their light on too, because they're like, oh, wait, I have a flashlight too. I didn't see it before. I didn't see that I had this flashlight in my pocket right here, but because all of you guys had your lights on, it reached me, which allowed me to see that I also have a flashlight. I'm gonna turn it on too, and so it's a similar way where the more of us that start to stand in that truth and stand in that power without saying anything, it's simply the fact that that light exists and that it is being felt and received by others subconsciously, right? Energetically, that they begin to recognize their own light and turn it on as well. So that's how that works. And that was a really cool analogy that just came through regarding that experience. Okay. So the thing to know as well, because I know that sometimes we can look at our world, look at what's happening, all the things, and we can feel very discouraged and feel like we are questioning our faith, questioning God, questioning the divine, like what is happening? Like this isn't moving us closer towards peace. This is craziness. Like where's our humanity, right? Like all these things that can come up that have us question things. And what we need to understand is that what is happening in our world is catalyzing our awakening, and it is catalyzing the change, and it is catalyzing the awakening. And so there's a couple of things that we have to remember in terms of what we must do in the face of everything that goes on in the world, in the face of the challenging times, in the face of the situations and the heartbreaking moments and the heart-wrenching moments and the things that we witness on the other side of the world that is just feels like just can tempt us to fall into such despair and just a feeling of like, oh, this world is never going to change, right? Like what am I going to do that's going to help this crazy situation? So here's the things that we have to remember. So the first one is that we must not allow the terrible things that happen in the world to close our hearts. So the atrocities that we see, the things that go on, like we have to not allow those things to close our hearts and close ourselves off from love and close ourselves off from faith and close ourselves off from truth. We this is part of our journey is keeping our hearts open through it all. We have to keep our hearts open. We have to keep our love there and not remove this. And this is a very tempting human thing, is it's like, oh, that like you don't deserve that love anymore. Like, I'm going to take my love away from you or from this situation or from humanity or whatever it is, because like, this is too crazy for me. And I'm not going to, nope, nope, nope. And you kind of like pull that back. So that's the first thing that I want you to just remember is we cannot allow the things that we witness and the things that we see, as hard as they are, as heartbreaking as they are, to close our hearts. The other thing that we must do is commit to pursuing our soul's calling. We are here, all of us, for a reason. Our soul is here to be a part of the collective change, the evolution that is meant to happen here on earth. And the best way, the very, 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 very most effective, best way that we can do this is by pursuing our soul's calling, pursuing the expression of light and love that we have come here to express, that we have come here to share. And that's going to be different for every single person. And I know that sometimes, again, kind of going back to what I said before, sometimes in the face of these challenging times and things, it can feel very like who am I? Like, how can I possibly be thinking about my soul's calling and experiencing peace and love and light when, like, on the other side of the world, there's these other things that happen. And I talked about this in one of my recent episodes. And what I want to say is that by pursuing our soul's calling, this is the light and this is the change and this is the peace and this is the higher frequency that we are meant to bring in, that is going to, at the end, actually make a huge impact. Even though it's not something that we might see right away, it's part of what we have come here to do. So we have to remember that we are here as the ones walking with the light, as the ones who are holding the energy of love, the ones who are holding the energy of peace. That is the only way that it is going to continue to expand and be passed down to generations, is by us holding it and standing for that. Okay. The next thing that we must do as part of this transition into 5D is love ourselves deeply. Love ourselves so, so, so deeply. And remember that we are all children of God. So we are all children of the divine. We all come from the same source of light and love. And through that, it's this knowing that you are worthy, you are deserving of this love, of this light. You are worthy and deserving of this compassion. So holding yourself in that regard and holding yourself in that energy of who you are here to be, what you have come here to bring forward, and holding yourself in that energy of love, compassion for you, compassion for the mistakes that you make, the challenges that you go through, the struggles that you experience. This is all part of it. And the more that we can love ourselves through it, the more that we will be able to transition through it with less, I don't want to say discomfort, it's so uncomfortable, but with less shame and less guilt and less pain, because at least we know that that love is there and it's holding us. Okay. And then the last thing is remembering that there is a greater divine plan that is unfolding right now, and it is beyond our comprehension. I don't actually think that any of us were meant to fully understand the whole plan. It's beyond logic. And let's face it, like, we are still humans. We still have a logical part to ourselves. It's not going to be something that we're ever going to fully understand. And that's part of this whole journey. It's the faith, it's the trust, it's the love, it's all of these things that are so important for us to be able to connect to, that And it's giving yourself the permission that you don't need to understand every single part of the plan and every single part of the journey in order for you to still continue to hold your faith and hold your love and hold your trust and your light, right? I don't need to have a full understanding of why things happen the way they are for me to know that I still get to be the light and I get to hold that love. I don't need to have a full understanding of why, this happened this certain way. Why did things unfold this way for me in my life? Or why did that have to happen that way? I don't need to know why. I just need to know that this is what I've been called forward into. This is what I was chosen for. God chose me for this. God chose me to show up in this way. So I'm going to do it. Right? So that's the most important thing for us to also just remember as a part of this, is that whatever your life journey has been, whatever your path has been, sometimes I know it's hard, and it's like our human wants to have answers, and it's like, why did that have to happen? Why did this have to happen in this way? Like, I don't understand why. And then God says, well, do you really need to know why, or do you just need to know that I chose you for this? I chose you. I see you for who you are. I love you for who you are. And then it's up to our free will to say, yes, I stand for this. I'm standing up to this, for this, So that's the key thing here for us to remember with all of this. And so the more that we can lean into this knowing that we don't necessarily have to understand anything, it's more about, are you willing to say yes to what you're being called to do, what you've been chosen for? Yes, I'm willing. Yes. Okay. That's all that we need. Let's go. Right. And so knowing that we're doing this together and that we all have a special role in this greater divine plan, that who you are is enough, who you are is important, who you are matters. And that's all that matters. So that is the answer to this question. And that is the important things for us to focus on at this time as we continue to move through this path. So I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Let me know how this landed with you. Let me know what part of this are you ready to kind of really integrate for yourself and continue to move forward in this alignment, in this direction. And as always, I encourage you, if you have any questions that you would love answered on the podcast, I love answering these questions. So make sure that you go to my website, ChristinaRoche.com/podcast. The link is also below in the show notes. And so go there, submit your question, and you can see the answer. You'll be able to hopefully see the answer in a future episode. So that is it for today. Thank you so much again. As always, I am sending you so much love and angel blessings, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you once again for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. And if you want to learn more about the Divine Connection podcast, you can go to ChristinaAroche.com/podcast and learn about how you can be featured on the show.